Now, in this video, we will going to discuss about the growth curves. It could be used for forecasting how and when a given technical approach will reach its upper limit. The growth phenomenon can be described by an S-shaped sigmoidoscopy curve as shown in the figure. With initially slow growth speeding up before slowing down, so to approach the limit. So that means here, if you see the growth curves, here initially it will going to be a slowdown, then it will going to be takes up, then it goes again, it comes to the upper limit. So this is how this growth curve will going to be projected. Now, the process involves fitting a growth curve to a set of data on technologies, then extrapolating the growth curve beyond the range of the data to obtain an estimate of future performance. So that means here the data what we will going to get is all from the research. So whatever the data we will going to get, that will going to be plotted, and the curve what you will going to get is the curve, growth curve. This activity involves three assumptions. One is the upper limit to the growth curve is known. The chosen growth curve to be fitted to the historical data is the correct one. And the historical data gives the coefficients of the chosen growth curve formula correctly. So what are the formulas which will going to be used? Suppose if you are considering a Pearl curve. Pearl's growth curve equation can be used to predict the growth of performance of technology with reference to functional capability. It will given in the form as capital Y is equal to L capital L divided by 1 plus A into e to the power of minus B into T, where capital Y is equal to forecast variable, capital L will be upper limit of capital Y, A is the location coefficient, T equals time period, small b is the shape coefficient. The coefficient A determines where the curve will be on the time axis, and B where A will be on the time axis, and B determines the steepness of the sharply rising portion. On the basis of some historical data points, it is possible to determine the values of A and B, which give a good fit to the data, and then use the equation to forecast future progress. So Pearl's growth curve is a symmetric about the point of inflection. So that means, so this is the point of inflection where it is symmetry on this side and also on this side. So where you have time versus parameter rate of growth, so you're going to have the upper limit as this and the lower limit as 0. And this is the 0, and this is the positive side of the time, and this is the negative side of the time. The inflection point is the point at which it changes from growing ever more rapidly to growing ever less rapidly, and is therefore the point at which its growth rate is at its maximum. So that is, this is the point where you will going to have at the maximum. So for this curve, it will start from here, goes to this maximum, and then from here it again goes to this, and it becomes to this maximum. So this is the inflection point. Then comes with Gompertz curve. The Gompertz curve is described using the equation capital Y is equal to L into e to the power of minus e to the power of minus b into t minus k, where capital Y is equal to forecast variable, capital L is upper limit of Y, t is the time period, b is the location coefficient, and k is the shape coefficient. The Gompertz curve can be used to predict the state of technology for which there is a limit. And when the growth is in the initial stage is comparatively faster than that of the Pearl curve as shown in the figure. So that means it is comparatively faster. So in the beginning, if you are comparing with the Pearl curve, the 0 is here at the mean, but here in the Gompertz curve, it starts early. So here, comparatively faster than that of the Pearl curve as shown in figure. Gompertz curve, growth curve, here this is 0 and this is the negative side and this is the positive side. Parameter rate of growth. And this is the Gompertz growth curve. This is the time along the x, and here the parameter rate of growth along the y-axis. Growth curves are the only approach that can be used to forecast a system that is bound by a limit. So that is the upper limit, which is bound by a limit. However, growth curves depend on historical data without which forecasting is not possible or is impossible. That means you should have the data with you, then only it will be possible to have the growth curves. When using growth curves, the forecaster must be sure that the data are self-consistent. That is, all data come from the same data set of population. Some data set or population. That means you should have all the data should be consistent. It cannot be having very fluctuation. If you have a consistent data, then only you can be able to fit the curve. Then comes with the normative methods. It begins with setting up future needs, goals, or objectives and work backwards to the present to find out the best approach to realize the predetermined objective. It begins with setting up future needs or goals or the objectives. So first we have to fix the goal or objectives and the future needs, and then from there we need to work backwards to the present to find out the best approach to realize the predetermined objective. It can be grouped into 3 categories, namely relevance trees, morphological analysis, and flow diagram. When we are considering the relevance tree technique, it is an analytical method that subdivides a particular objective into increasingly smaller activities and further into tasks, thereby showing all possible paths to achieve the intended objective and provide a forecast accordingly. So that is, we have, suppose if you take this as the objective, suppose if you are considering it as an air pollution control, then it divides into the possible solutions. So what are the possible solutions? Engine redesign, alternative energy sources, and develop given city by planning to enhance air quality. Then again it is subdivided into engine redesign, functions to be performed. What are the functions to be performed on the engine redesign? So that is engine system, cooling system, ignition system, fuel supply system. And again in this subdivided that engine system into possible to functional need. So capital ABC. So again B, research projects to solve specific problems. So this is how alternative energy sources will go to have electricity based, fuel cell based, and biofuel based, and develop given city by planning to enhance air quality. We have the D and E. So this is how we are dividing into smaller activities and further into tasks. It involves hierarchical listing of tasks as well as its alternatives, and each branch in the hierarchy can be considered as a goal and sub-goals, etc. That means this is the goal, sub-goals. If you come, this is the goal, then this becomes the sub-goal. So like this, we are dividing into smaller activities and then to smaller tasks. An example of a relevance tree is shown in the figure, wherein objective is to develop a means of air pollution control. The hierarchy begins with objective, which is broken down into activities and further into tasks as shown in the figure. As one descends down the tree, the details increase at every level. The entries, when taken together at each level, describe the preceding level completely. The objective, the goal, and the actions to be taken are thus linked in the relevance tree. It is an organized approach for assessing the route to be used for achieving a definite, defined future objective or solving a given problem. It also ensures that adequate, appropriate attention is applied to all the tasks and activities depending on their relevance. So this is the objective, and this is the possible solutions, and this is the functions to be performed and possible function need. And then how this will going to be proceeded further down the activities, and even the smaller task which will going to be performed will going to be listed. This is the hierarchy tree. Then comes with morphological analysis. It is a forecasting technique for exploring all possible solutions to a multi-dimensional, non-qualified complex problem. It involves mapping a discipline to obtain a wide perspective of existing solutions and future possibility. The approach is based on 5 basic steps. Number 1, formulation and definition of the given problem. Then identification and characterization of all parameters towards a solution. Formulation and definition of a given problem. First, we need to formulate the problem. Then identification and characterizations of all parameters towards the solution. So that means once you identify, then we need to characterize them or the parameters towards what the solution you want. Construction of morphological box whose combinations will contain all possible solutions. So once the characterization is done, then morphological box where we will going to get all the possible solutions will going to be listed. Evaluation of the outcome based on feasibility and achievements of desired goals, and in-depth analysis of the best options for considering the available resources. If the table shows a morphological box to examine the possible development of clocks, the vertical axis, letter, capital EBC, etc. defines the stages of parameters or the technology under consideration. Horizontal axis numbered 1, 2, 3, etc. defines alternative method to achieve stages or parameters. The analysis is usually initiated by starting with a well-known or existing solution like A1 to B1, C1, D1, E1, and F1, and changing one element at a time. The solution can be examined for efficiency and later estimated for the time during which the alternative technologies might be available. It is moreover an analytical technique that provides a framework for exploring all possible solutions to a particular problem. It cannot be used to obtain quantitative estimates or relative importance of various technological goals. It is a static model and is not suited to take care of systems that change with time or describe the logical sequence of events. So here, these are the parameters or the alternatives. So we have energy source. We have energy source B, motor, regulator, gearing, and indicators. These are the possible alternatives we have: A, B, C, D, E, F. Then energy source, we have manual winding, energy storage, weight, motor, it is a spring motor, regulator, which is the balance of wheels, gearing, pinion drive, indicators, dial hands. So these are the possible activity solutions what you will going to get for the first parameter. So A1, B1, C1, D1, E1, and F1. So these are all the tasks which will going to be performed. So this is how we can, suppose if you are considering other parameters, vibration, to that what will going to be get spring, what are the type of motor we are going to use electric, regulator which will going to be a pendulum, gearing, chain drive, indicators, slide marks. So these are all the activities which will going to be considered. So mission flow in this next video, we will going to discuss about the mission flow diagram. Thank you.